Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are around the world. 2-1 to Arsenal in this, what I thought was a very good preseason game, especially in that first half. We're going to delve into it. Hit the like button. Please subscribe. Turn on that bell notification button as well if you haven't done so already. But it felt like the first real meaningful preseason game where you get to test yourself against high level opposition, where there's some intensity in the game, and you get to start to maybe look at how things will look for your team next year. I'm going to start with Arsenal because they won the game, and then go on to Man United, then bring out my little panel tonight. So first and foremost, look, with Arsenal, regardless of who was on the pitch, they played, again, very neat, tidy, quick, clean football. And as I stated earlier on tonight, results aren't the most important thing in preseason. It's match sharpness and it's getting ready for the campaign. But there are some important components that come out. What players from the academy are ready to step up into the first team? Is it going to be X, Y, or Z season, or is it time to let them go? Who's going to grab an opportunity by the scruff of the neck and make it count? How are you looking to play next year? And the one thing I've said about Arsenal all summer is it doesn't really matter to me how they play and perform during preseason. We know they're going to deliver when it comes to the campaign. That's why they're a scary outfit, there's no doubt. They've got Celebtraing to come in, and it's very well documented. At least two more players will follow in after that. The Arsenal element I want to focus on tonight, though, is actually an individual player, and that is Ethan Wanyeri. Is it Wanyeri? Is that how it's pronounced? I think. Special. I remember when he made his debut a couple of seasons ago in the Premier League as, what, a 15-year-old or something along those lines, 15, 16 years of age. And the media was fuming. They said that substitution appearance was all about Arteta's ego and Arteta wanting to be the man that gave this young man his debut and his opportunity. It was pointless. Why do it? Etc., etc., etc. And I remember listening to it thinking the bitterness, the anger, the fearful nature that the mainstream media was showing Arsenal was just cowardly. I did 5 minutes of research on this young man, and you could see how highly touted, rated, and the expectation levels around him at Arsenal. What's their academy called? Is it Coney? Is it Coney? Nod backstage for me, Matt. Is it Coney, your academy? Is that what it's called? Whatever it's called, right? Whatever it's called. Like, and again, people think I'm an Arsenal fan. It is what it is. And I've watched him in preseason now twice, and he's played multiple positions. I watched him in midfield today, and all that I could think about was what a potential star he could be. Hale End, that's the one. Hale End. I just see it in the comments section. What a potential superstar this young man could be. But equally, you definitely need to buy a midfield player. But he has got to be in your first team next season. He has got to be given opportunities at real competitive football. That's the only way you really know how good somebody is. Preseason gives you an idea. Real life football where the pressure's on, the crowd's different, there's real intensity. You're not being subbed after 45 minutes, which always makes it easier because you can essentially, excuse my expression, but you can blow your load early knowing that you haven't got to play for 90 minutes. But I think he's a special talent. Now, special talent doesn't equal making it on a regular basis at the highest level. But what it does do is demonstrate the potential that you have. And he's going to have to continue working hard, fighting, staying fit, looking after himself. But there is a real tremendous talent in young Ethan. He is a real special player. And I say that as a Man United fan who, look, we've got our own in Kobe. We saw Harry Amas today play in the first half, who I thought looked especially on the ball, looked absolutely brilliant. And of course, we have produced so many players through our academy in years gone by. You can always note it. Generally speaking, you can always notice the special talents very early because they just stand out, even at 16, 17, 18. And young Ethan Noeri is most certainly that player. Overall, look, as I say at the beginning, Arsenal moved the ball well. They pass it quickly. I would probably say on the balance of the both halves, they were the deserved winners of the game. Whether people care about that or not is completely and utterly up to you. They played some really good football. They defended well at times. They got the balance right against Man United as well in terms of game management, because there was times where Man United's football was really good and they passed it through them, and they realized, Arsenal, we can't just press all the time. There are moments where we've got to sit back and absorb, and they got that balance right. And I just think Arsenal are set up, once they get their new signings in, for another season where they're going to push until the very end for the Premier League title. I think they'll be an even better side in the Champions League this year, because I still think they're getting better. I still think there's more to come from this Arsenal team. Oh, it's pronounced Wanyeri. Okay, that's how it's pronounced. Do you know what it is for me? I've never heard a commentator say his name, and you know what it's like sometimes. You end up hearing it pronounced 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different ways. Wanyeri. Okay, I'll get that right, my friend. Thank you very much for educating me on that. Listen, Carl, you're a good guy, but let's be frank about this. We all know that laughing at injuries is despicable, and you're much better than that, my friend. You're much better than laughing at injuries. When it comes to Man United, look, I'll say this now. I feel a little bit downbeat. Nothing to do with losing the game. I'd like to have won, but we won the penalty shootout. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm downbeat because Rasmus started the game so well. He was sharp, fast, quick, powerful, and looks like he had a twinge in his hamstring. You could see him hold it. He goes down. I hope it isn't anything bad. 10 minutes later, young Lenny goes off limping. And as a Man United fan, that made me feel gutted. I was gutted. It took the shine off the game for me. I almost didn't want to watch it anymore after that point, strangely, because it is more about looking at the players that you want to see develop. It is about looking at your new stars and everything else. And I just, it left a sort of bitter taste in my mouth. Nobody's fault. These things just happened. And if I'm being a little bit self-indulgent for a moment, I kind of felt as though there's such bad luck with injuries last year. And I can't believe our first meaningful preseason game and 2 of our main first-team players get injured again. Hopefully it's short-term, and hopefully it isn't anything too serious, but that made me feel gutted. On the positive note, especially in the first half, I thought the second half of United were nowhere near where we wanted to be, but then a lot of the players that came on are kind of in that young or sort of dead wood category that we kind of want to sell, right? So I didn't expect to be as impressed in the second half. In the first half, just like our first preseason game against Rangers, some really good, fast, quick, one-touch football to pass through Arsenal the way we did on occasions. That's not me saying Arsenal didn't do it to Man United. Nobody get triggered. I was really impressed with some of our transitional play, pressing when the ball back was good. Some of our build-up from the back was also great. Passing out when Arsenal press us, and Arsenal, one of the best pressing teams in world football, in my opinion, really impressed me. And I sort of look at these situations and think, well, I was talking about Chelsea earlier, and I get the result isn't the most important thing, but it's what can you take from the game? What is the sort of positive that you can take out of it? And for me, when we had the majority of our players on the pitch that we wanted, we looked stronger defensively. We weren't having our midfield run through. Those holes weren't there that we saw for the majority last season. And we were moving the ball around a lot better. And my hope is over the rest of preseason and the early stages of the Premier League campaign, we can make that come to light a little bit more. In terms of our players, look, Harry Hamas at left back. I know we're looking at signing Mazwari, sorry. Let's give Hamas an opportunity and a chance in the same way that we did young Kobbie Mainoo, because I think he looks excellent. Collier in the middle, he probably hasn't got he hasn't got the experience of McTominay. He's just better than him on the ball. There was times in the second half where McTominay had an opportunity to do something with the ball, and I just think, oh, Collier would have been great there. I was impressed with him. I thought Mason Mount had a really good game, if I'm being honest. And I was a little, because he's been in all 3 preseason games so far, I was kind of hoping he was going to get sort of that 55, 60, 65 minutes, because I was really impressed with him. Who else did I like today? Who else did everyone else did okay after that. I thought Ahmad was a little bit quiet. Rashford, we didn't really get him into the game much. But yeah, look, some standout performances, gutted by the injuries. But 2 games running now, I've been impressed with some of the elements of football that we played. And I know a lot of people are talking about the offside goal. And from the angles we've all seen, when that ball was crossed, Jesus does look offside. But look, the result doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. I'm not going to think about that offside anymore. It just doesn't really matter. So look, some real positives that in my opinion, that have come out of this game tonight. The only real negatives, I suppose, is 2 things for me. One of them we already knew about. When you start scraping beneath the surface, that second half team, most of those guys are not good enough for Manchester United. And the injuries to our players. Outside of that, I see green shoots of change and green shoots of hope that, when we get our squad back, and I know Arsenal will feel this way and other people, but when we get Luke Shaw and Garnacho, Lissandro, Cobby back into the team, 2 or 3 more signings, I'm starting to get a little bit excited about the campaign ahead for Manchester United. But look, as ever, I want your thoughts, want your feelings. KJ and Matt joining me next. CeeLo here says, all I wanted to see was a style of play with youth standouts. I got that in bits today. I'm good. But I think he would have got it more in that first half if we hadn't have had those 2 injuries. Those 2 injuries came just after we scored and sort of 10 minutes after we made the first change. I also wouldn't have brought Hannibal on. I don't rate him particularly highly. I'd have moved Rashford into the 9 and brought Sancho onto the football pitch, in my opinion. That's the sub I would have made. But there we go. But yes, I think we would have seen more of that football, but I totally get you, bro. Salah Edine will be special, Terry. I'll keep my eye out for him 100%. And yes, Chelsea, your club did get battered today. Could be worse, people. You could be Chelsea. KJ's here. Matt's here with me. KJ, yes, bro. I wasn't sure if you were coming on. I did see you dancing to Candy a couple of hours ago on Insta stories. But not the result we wanted. Injuries maybe a bit more of a concern, but some positives in the football. What was your thoughts tonight, mate?
Yeah, when we've got the first team out there, you can clearly see that we're trying to move the ball a lot quicker than we did last season, and get forward and use the wide areas a lot better as well. And it just shows when you have someone like Ahmad out there or Rashford out there that things can happen when you put the ball out wide. It wasn't the greatest games, but it's preseason, Yeah, but overall, we're slowly trying to see something. That's the main thing. I don't think we're there yet, and I don't think that we're going to be anywhere close to being near the top this season or even maybe next season. But we're starting to slowly try and get to somewhere in terms of the attacking play and in terms of the structure of the team. We look a lot better than we did last season, especially when it comes to defending and the gaps in midfield. They're slowly starting to get compacted, and we are defending better. We're conceding less chances. And going forward, you can kind of see what kind of play that we want to do, which will evolve in the wings quite a bit. The Arsenal is better than us, and that's okay to admit. You know what I mean? Some United fans don't want to admit that. Some fans don't like me. Arsenal are better than us. They play some great football. I wasn't really expecting a win anyway. So the fact that we got out there 2-1 and won the penalty shootout, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? It's all good. It's all good. Arsenal are a very good team, and we're there semi-competing in moments, and we just need to turn those moments into 90 minutes. But yeah, like, overall, the performance is where it is, especially when the second string came on. That second half, boy, you saw the level drop. I felt bad for Sancho because when you got midfield of Eriksen and McTominay just getting away each other, you got Anthony on the other side, like young Wheatley, like up top, he's getting no service as well. Like, yeah, I felt for him as well. And yeah, going forward, I need to see So I need to see some sales. I need to see some big sales this like in the summer, man. Casemiro, Maguire, Anthony, Hannibal. You can argue AWB as well. Like, yeah, that man needs to leave, man. And I think out of Sancho and Anthony, those two are the man looking like on a chopping block. And Sancho's shown more to say you should stay at Man United and they should at least be in the squad. And then yeah, I'll also shout out to two young players. Collier, I like the look of him. He looks like he can be something. And also Maxi Oyedele, like he in the midfield, he's looking very good as well. Looks like he can actually become something as well. Because guess what? When he got onto the ball, he was moving the ball forward. He was finding his man. He was actually putting tackles in and being strong on the ball. McTominay today, being McTominay. Casemiro being Cass. Anthony being Cass. So yeah, those two, get them in the first team squad. Get some of these midfielders out and let's try and rebuild this midfield because without that, yeah, it's going to be long.
Mate, listen, I agree with all of it. Other than the Cass situation, I didn't think Casemiro again was particularly poor today. I thought Casemiro did okay. He's never going to be, Michael Carrick on the ball, but aside from that, I totally get where you're coming from, and I do feel, like I said it earlier, the injuries sort of stopped the momentum in that second half because we started really, really well and we were dangerous. And Carl here says talk on Ahmad, and yeah, Ahmad didn't have the best of games today, but up until the two injuries, he was in great positions. He had opportunities to score. And I felt that would have continued for the rest of that first half if it hadn't have been for the momentum loss that we had. And that's why Xerxes is such an important signing for us, because Rasmus goes off and we had no number 9. And I think the one thing I've noticed when it comes to the style of football that we're trying to play this year and last year is a number 9 and or a focal point is so important. And not only did Hannibal do it, I don't think Hannibal's anywhere near good enough for a Premier League team. He came on and was just completely unimpactful. Where Rasmus in that opening sort of 15 minutes or so before he went off, opening 15, 20 minutes, he was bullying the centre backs, which I think he should be doing. He's more experienced than the young man he was up against, but that enabled other people to be brought into the game. So yeah, listen, I'm not worried about Ahmad I'm not worried about him in any capacity. Casemiro didn't have a bad game. Okay. Again, I'm just saying I didn't think he was particularly poor today. I thought United started well. Things got a bit sketchy after we had the injuries and the team sort of lost its way a little bit. But yeah, I didn't think it was particularly bad. Having said that, would I like to replace him and sell him this summer? Absolutely. I'm not sitting here and saying, yeah, let's keep him for another year. But yeah, the injuries, what's your thoughts on them, KJ? Because obviously we had such a bad year. Probably only Chelsea out of the top 6 clubs had as bad a season as us. I think we on average had around 13 to 14 people out for every single game. I don't know about you, but no matter what the result was tonight, I was always going to feel kind of disheartened because 2 of our first team players go down injured again.
Yeah, no, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. We saw this last preseason with Kobe. He comes on against Real Madrid after performing well against Arsenal, and yeah, someone lands on his leg and boom, he's out for until like October, November time. We just got Euro, and Rasmus he's back from the Euros, and already they might be out. I'm just hoping that there's slight injuries and precautions. I think Euro's one is more precaution than Rasmus. I think Rasmus might have some kind of big injury, but yeah, overall, yeah, not happy about that at all. Hopefully it's one of those ones where like it's just precaution and they're fine and they can play and maybe a season's get like miss maybe one preseason game and then move forward with the rest of them start the season. But yeah, those are 2 big players if we miss out on. But that's what we need. We need another centre back coming in. We need a top quality centre back because Maguire and Lindelof they can't cover it. And Evans is just an old man.
Yeah.
So.
Isn't Lenny Euro going to the Olympics?
No,
he would be there.
The Olympics has started, bruv.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was on the team.
Yeah, the football for the Olympics it started like a week ago. Yeah, it started like a week ago as well. No, Lenny's here, and I agree. And look, my hope now is, and these kind of moments in pre-season can change transfer negotiations. I know we're saying we don't want to pay more than 38 million for the Lit, but it might change United's stance now where they go, all right, look, let's just pay the extra. It depends on what's wrong with Euro. If Euro's out for, fingers crossed he isn't, but if he's out for 4 weeks, 8 weeks, something along those lines, you're just going to have to go and get someone in now. There's no room for those negotiations. But no, I do agree. And the one thing I want to say to Man United fans is remember, all the people that are going to say that don't believe in projects, it isn't going to take time to improve, it shouldn't take time to improve us, are the same people that just said sack the manager, buy 1 or 2 ballers, and United will be back up there competing. They're fools. They have no idea. This is going to be a 2 to 3 year period until we consistently can play as well or better than the likes of Arsenal and beyond. So we have to temper our expectations, especially when you scratch beneath the surface of our squad. You see who played in the second half as an example, and that's why it's going to take 2 or 3 summers for us to get ourselves up there. But some green shoots in terms of the style of play from an Arsenal perspective. Egal, obviously good to get the victory, but what stood out for you tonight from your perspective as a Gooner?
First of all, in the first 10 minutes, I freaking was napping when you guys scored that goal. I literally just woke up and I see Rasmus Højlund score. I was like, what the hell? And then the rest of the game, I felt like as the game grew, your injuries obviously changed the momentum, but we also brought on some players that just changed the game. Like when Martinelli and these guys came on, we looked a lot more threatening. Of course, we get the second goal. Partey's also coming on in the second half. I thought a lot of the young kids, this preseason has been where Arteta's given these young kids a lot of running time, and I wouldn't be surprised if Miles Lewis-Skelly, who's played both games quite well, is going to get a good opportunity this season. Ethan Noir, of course, the goal was offside, but I thought it was if you can't really credit him for an assist, but it was an offside goal. But hey,
I just want to stop you for a second. See, this is why I get confused with names. We have people in the comments earlier saying it's pronounced one Neri.
It's pronounced Manari. I'm pronouncing it wrong.
Oh, okay. I'm not even calling you out. This is why I get so confused, because I'll hear a commentator say it, the audience say, no, you're wrong. I start saying it the way they say it, and then a panelist comes on and says it different to have heard it said before. So is it one?
How is it pronounced? It's
one
N is silent, right?
Yeah.
Ethan Noir.
How I pronounce it is.
That's what he said. That's what I was like,
right? I know I'm pronouncing it wrong.
Yeah, that's all good again. Hey, listen, it's late, man. It's late.
Somebody tell me how it's pronounced, because I keep making mistakes. It's actually,
a lot of people have said that it's one Neri. Yeah, the M being silent. Yeah, but
cool. One Neri.
Okay. Yeah, no, look, he did. I mean, he looked really special though. Like the talent he's got is amazing.
I think Arteta got a lot of criticism for giving him a cap when he was like 16. He's like, oh, he's doing it because he just wants to do it for show. It's about ego. I remember you even doing a video about it. People saying, oh, this guy's not all that. I think this preseason, with us not having a lot of our first team players like Bukayo Saka, like like Declan Rice and Saliba, it gives an opportunity to these guys to put themselves out there and show people what they're actually made of. And I'm not gonna do the whole banter thing. I might do it on Twitter, but it is funny that last time when you guys beat us, your account was tweeting out stuff like, we don't do friendlies. Your manager was saying stuff like, we don't do friendlies. And now that we win, it's like, it is what it is. But in the second half, when we brought on some of our players, you could see that as we brought on more subs, that the quality was showing. And later in the game, you slightly dipped. I thought the first 10 minutes, 20 minutes, you guys had us. And then the rest of the game, I felt like it was pretty much all Arsenal. And even when you brought on some of your players, I felt like our academy players and our people kept the shape well. And Thomas Partey in the second half, he had a much better game than he did the previous game where he was quite poor. And the positives you can take from this is Salah, the young kid Heaven, who's 17, by the way. Is he 17 or 18? Did he just turn 18? Yeah. I think he's 18, Matt, right? And then Scully, all these academy kids are going to definitely get clubs looking at them now saying, you know what, maybe we should take these guys out on loan. And I think Arsenal should use this as an opportunity to put these kids in the shop window and get them loans. I'm not talking about Ethan. I'm not talking about Wanari. I'm not talking about Lewis Skelly. I'm talking about trying to get some of these other guys an opportunity at professional level, at lower leagues, to see if they can get themselves going.
Yeah.
We haven't been good with the loan system before.
Yeah, I think Arsenal fans have got to also temper themselves. I think it's crazy to think the class of 92 isn't an example. It's brilliant, but an anomaly. If you're going to develop Waneri next season, you've probably got room for one, potentially two more
max
young players in your squad. You know, and it's like with Man United. Like we've still got, obviously, we bought Lenny Euro, who needs developing. You've got Mainu that needs developing. I'm talking fresh, brand new youngsters. Although Lenny Euro has got a season to his name. And then I like Tom Collier for us. And then obviously there's Harry Hamas. And I start looking at it and I'm like, oh, you know, say you add those two to the squad.
What? So you said Harry Hamas.
Hamas, did I? Hamas. Sorry,
Terry,
right?
with the defense that we have,
but it's from our perspective as well. It's like if we add those two to the squad, you're basically maxing out the young players that you can have, because it's hard to develop more than one at the same very time. Joshua Jack here says we already are saying some youth players are better than senior players. Can we stop this? We do this every year. Collier had a better game, but not better than McTominay. But that's why I said, Joshua, when I said better, I said just not more experienced. So Scott McTominay will still probably perform better on a more consistent basis in terms of delivery within games right now. But when I mean better, I'll reiterate it. I'm talking technical ability on the ball. There was 2 or 3 times in the second half where Scott McTominay had the ball. There was a counter-attack opportunity, and all he had to do was switch the ball on the outside, and he come onto the inside because he didn't have the technical ability to do it. It allowed Arsenal to get back in position. He was running through on goal after a good ball. I think it was either from Ericsson or Johnny Evans. Didn't really matter which. A better technical footballer tries to thread the ball to Ethan Wheatley, who was running through on goal, but instead he gives it to Anthony, who we know is going to do nothing with the ball. So when I look at someone like Collier, I would rather, at this stage of Man United, where we are at the beginning of a rebuild, let us not forget this. Let us not, because I think people are already, the football ain't nowhere near Man City's yet. This is crazy. We are, how long have we been in preseason training, KJ? 2 weeks?
I think it might be 3 weeks.
3. So we're 3 weeks into the rebuild. Everyone's slow the fuck down. I would rather sell McTominay. I don't want to sell all of our experienced players, but I'd rather sell McTominay, sell Casemiro, sell another midfield, Ericsson, buy a midfielder or two, and promote Collier. That is what I would rather do, because I believe if this young man is nurtured well, has good quality around him with his technical ability, as he grows in that experience, we could have a better player on our hands. And I know you get these standard FC merchants online who talk about, no, you just got to go out and buy the very best players in the world. But you're never going to be able to do that, because the squad needs to have 23 players in it. You can't go out and buy 23 of the very best players in the world and put them into a squad, because they all want to play first team football. So then you have to balance it off with some slightly lesser players, and you bring through academy players or youngsters who are willing to be a bit part to begin with as they're learning their trade. So when I say better, I don't mean overall better than a pro like Scott McTominay right now, but the amount of times we get into pickles on the pitch because McTominay's ability on the ball is lacking is crazy, my friend.
And I think one of the main things as well is that we know what McTominay is. We've seen him for like 5 seasons in a row now. We know what he is. We know his strengths. We know his weaknesses, and we just know he's not good enough for Man United. I'd rather spend time making a player good enough for Man United than just keep him with a guy that, yes, he has his uses. He's great at scoring goals off the bench, and he's a good squad player who rarely gets injured. But we're in a position like Terry said, we're rebuilding. We're starting from ground zero. Why keep that around if he's not going to be here for the long run anyway? So yeah, he needs to go find a club where
How many academy kids that played in this game do you actually think are going to get an opportunity to play in the Europa League?
Collier, probably Collier, maybe Amas, depending who we get in like the games. If we get someone really bad, and maybe Oyedele in the midfield. Those three only. I don't. The rest of them I don't. And Wheatley as well. Wheatley. So those four. The rest of them I don't see getting a chance.
Yeah, as much as Heaven and Salah looked good, and you could even say Josh Nicholas, I don't think they're going to get many opportunities at all this season for Arsenal if it's not in the FA Cup or the League Cup.
Yeah, that's the thing about young players. But like, you're in a different position. You guys are looking to potentially win the league, so of course you actually can't be developing too many young players anyway. We're rebuilding, and people in the chat are laughing. Rivals are laughing, saying rebuild. How am I, rebuilding and free? Look how long it takes to rebuild. But look, literally, but like you, man, look at what we've done in our backroom staff alone. Our backroom staff and our structure. You can't tell me that's not a rebuild. Like, no one can tell me that's not a rebuild. And yes, you may say we've been rebuilding for 3 years. Well, no one is. We're building a house, and we had cowboy builders for 2 years. We had cowboy builders ruining the house, so we have to start all over again anyway. So that's what it is. We're rebuilding until we're fixed. That's what I'm saying.
People are ignoring what Man United are now doing and going through, because if they admit to what we're currently going through, the banter falls short. So it's okay. We have been trying to rebuild since Fergie left, but we've got it wrong each time. So we've got to start again. It just is what it is. And there was a comment that came through a minute ago that did make me laugh. It says that it says Terry with Glazeonomics. It's not about Glazeonomics. I don't think we should just play young players because they're from our academy. I believe we should play players that have the instant ability or future ability to be top class players for us. I think it is almost impossible to go out into the market, forget doing it in one summer, over 3 years, and acquire 23 to 26 players who are all of a high level quality, 2 or 3 players at every position, and then maintain that squad and keep everybody happy. It's impossible. Because say you've got 6 midfielders, but there's only 2 or 3 that are getting the majority of the minutes, people are going to ask to leave. So you've got to get that balance right. It's not a Glazeonomics element. They've got to be good enough at some point in the future. All those bums that talk about you just need to go out there and buy the very... I remember when Kobe was coming through, and there was all these standard FC people saying, no, there's hundreds of better midfielders in the world than Kobe Mainu. So instead of trying to develop him, you should just go out and buy the players that are better than him. The problem is with that logic, if every club did that, we would run out of football players in 20 years' time because nobody would be getting fucking developed. Football would run out of football players because you basically your logic dictates if every club followed your example, there'd be no top quality young players developed at the highest level, because you're probably right. Most 18-year-old Premier League players at Premier League clubs are probably not as good overall in matches as championship midfielders who are 25, 26 and experienced because of their age, physicality and size. But that logic dictates that United should go and buy a championship midfielder because right now he might be a little bit better than Collier because he's got more experience. And by the way, you go, well, no, you'd go to a better league than the championship. How can every club do that? It's just the most ridiculous. The problem is with all those types of pieces of logic is when you start to stretch them out and apply it to all clubs. Like I used to have it with League Gunner all the time. If a manager don't win the league or a trophy, you sack him. And essentially that means you're sacking, just in the Premier League alone, on average, between about 16 and 19 managers every single season. But then clubs also can't appoint failures as part of their logic. So all the managers that get sacked can't be appointed. Eventually, within 3 years, there's no managers left because they're all in the failure category. It doesn't work in reality, my friend. So you have to get the word that seems to elude so many people. You have to have balance in these situations, and you've got to develop youngsters. You've got to buy youngsters. You have to buy experience. Sometimes you've got to buy a middle of the road player. Someone who's like happy to be a bench man, but is good enough when he comes on. You just do. A super chat here says, if United is the beginning of if United is beginning of a rebuild in 3 years, 7 Haag.
Yeah,
But
it doesn't. I don't get why people are like.
We did a rebuild mid Arteta.
Yeah, we did crap. Like we did crap. We was rebuilding rubbish, so we have to start. I don't get why people are so hard to think.
A rebuild isn't just dictated by having a new manager. Because Chelsea's owners are not saying it's a new fresh start. They're saying it's a new manager to continue what we've already been building. So not every Liverpool are trying to make it sound like a rebuild. No, you've got a manager picking up from what was a brilliant squad and a brilliant, well-run club for the past 7 or 8 years. And you're just continuing with that project. You're not starting again from scratch. Man United, we did have 2 years of Ten Hag, but everything is essentially being burnt down to the ground and then rebuilt. He's just the head coach of that. It's still a rebuild of style and coaches, decision makers. It's all being done. Do some research on what Man United are doing, my friend.
Terry, I think they're purposely being dense because they will call us a broken club. You know what I mean? So that means they know that.
Yeah. Finished club, broken club, over, never getting back to the top. We started a rebuild. No, you ain't starting no rebuild. Why'd you need to rebuild? I thought we was broken, bro. I thought we were broken. As a comment here, I want to throw out to Matt and to Egal. There must have been about 50 comments so far of people celebrating Lenny Euro getting injured. What's your reaction to that as Arsenal fans? People celebrating the injury of a young man?
That's bad taste, and they're probably like 5 years old. Like, what are we doing here? Why are you acting like kids? Grow up. Like when it comes down to it, you wouldn't want anybody celebrating a timber injury or somebody in our team getting injured. Like I remember when the season started, everyone acts like an injury to a player early in the season. You can't celebrate that. That's a joke. Like let's not do this. Yeah. Plus the kid's, how old is he? He's like 18 years old. You're wishing bad on an 18-year-old kid. What's wrong with you?
Tells me one thing. They're absolutely petrified of how good he must be able to be.
I think you guys need another center back anyways. So
agreed.
Regardless, you shouldn't put too much worry on this. You're gonna get another center back regardless.
I agree.
And Terry, maybe I didn't do a video that I'm scared of United, but I definitely do think you guys are doing quite well. And I don't know if you guys see my TikToks, but a lot of people are from a Rasmus point of view.
Randomly, I was watching them this morning. Actually,
yeah, from a random point of view, I see a lot of people making banterous points, but if you actually rebuttal them with what you guys have been doing compared to what you guys were doing in the past, that it's night and day.
I agree, and I think most people I respect that I know, speak the truth. There was quite a lot of praise for some of United's football in the first half, and that for me is enough. I think people can see what we're talking about. Trev here talking about Man United, how the mighty have fallen. Yes. We know.
But it's a preseason game. Like they're acting like we beat you 5-0.
Well, I think it's more when they're like, I can't believe you guys are happy to be where you are. No, we're not happy with where we are.
It's where we are.
But it is where we are. I put a lot of weight on, right? I'm not an absolute a beast mess, but I put a lot of weight on. When I start, and I will start at some point soon, eating better and getting back to the gym on a more regular basis, maybe a month in, I'll be like, I'm really proud of what I've done. It doesn't mean I'm sitting there going, do you know what? I'm in as good a shape as when I was fighting for Team GB at 21 years of age. But it means I'm happy with the start I've made. It's kind of weird. Joshua here says, for Terry and KJ, what's your expectations for Rasmus? Because he had all the excuses last year for him. New number, big expectations for him. Remember, he got benched towards the end of the season.
He didn't get benched towards the end of the season.
He didn't get benched.
No, he didn't get benched. If you remember, he came off for he got injured again, and we just needed a spot where, you know what, we're saving for a bit. We got 3 games to go. Let's play a system that we got us to win, and guess what? We got us to win and we got a trophy. So he hasn't been benched. My expectations for him, I think again, he just needs to reach that double figure mark on the Premier League goals. So if he gets 15 Premier League goals and around 10 in the other competitions, so around 25 goals, I'll be happy with that. Especially if our system is working well, and say if he's playing with Xerxes, who sets him up a bit more, and the wingers are feeding him, then yeah, I think 25 all comps is fair. Yeah, 20 to 25 all comps.
Anyways, I'm gonna head off, Terry. You have a good one.
Cheers, my man, top man. Thank you. Speaking facts here says, Terry, I knew you was a top red. by saying BS after Ten Hag wasted money for 2 seasons and now in his 3rd season you're calling it his first season rebuild. No, I didn't say that. Not at all. You're lying. I said it's Man United doing the rebuild. The manager at Man United, Ten Hag, has to deliver this year. We have to play better football. We have to become harder to beat. We have to win more games. We have to get into the Champions League. We have to try and win a trophy. The most important thing is that our football becomes better and we start to progress towards being a team that can win the major honours again. If he doesn't do that, you can continue with the rebuild but replace the manager. Again, layered thinking, critical thinking, using your brain. Never for one single second said it's Ten Hag's first season rebuild. It's Manchester United's. This here says, don't sleep on Salah, Adine, and Josh Nichols.
Yeah, they're good games.
Yeri's last season, he scored 18 goals in 21 games from central midfield under 21 age and 30-plus year club scout 2 years back said Nwari plus MLS.
The Skelly,
Skelly, his top 10 talents he's seen at the club. Yeah, how excited are you about Yeri?
Bro, it's him breaking into the team, and I think this season is that season. I think if he has a successful breakout season, he could be potentially our solution to our left 8 problem for the for next year's season, because he fits perfectly. He plays really well with Odegaard. He links up play really well. He carries the ball, and it's something that we're missing. And for a player so young, he's got a really good understanding of how our first team plays, and just overall how football is played under Arteta. And today he showed that he can play against the top team with top individuals around him, and that's something that I think we needed to see. We needed to see him around senior players because we haven't really seen him that, not particularly. He's mostly been around the academy players in terms of playing the matches. But yeah, no, I thought his performance today was really good, and I thought it was a standout performance. I thought he was one of the best players for Arsenal today. And I also think that Gabriel Martinelli got that goal. I'm so happy for him. I think he needed that goal to boost his confidence. I think he's going to have a fantastic season. I think he's going to outscore Bukayo Saka. I genuinely think he will be our best player next season, because I think the addition of
Sorry?
Martinelli.
Martinelli.
Yeah. Wait, just off of this preseason game?
No. Just off of the addition of Calafiori with who was on the left side? I think it was who was on the left side. It was Miles Lewis-Skelly was on the left side as he came on, and Gabriel Martinelli just looked really, really good. And I think if you add Calafiori into that left back role, I think he's just going to be absolutely nuts.
Do you not think also it's because he's playing against Scallon as our right back and Will Fish and Johnny Evans in the centre back? Listen, he was good. He was dynamite when he came on, but he's better than nearly most players on our team. You know what I'm saying? So, but to say that he will be your best player because
I said this before this game. I said that Gabriel Martinelli is going to have a fantastic campaign next season because of the addition we're sorting out at our left back area. Because our left back area was a primary reason as to why Gabriel Martinelli had a really poor season was that the left-hand side was just a mess. We didn't really know who our first choice left back was. We, was switching it up every game pretty much. And I think if Calafiori comes in and hits the ground running and starts, I think that's when Gabriel Martinelli will kick on and
You know
will
what?
potentially be our best player.
Terry, screw it. Because Man United's structure is now changed, Rashford will be the best player in the world. Screw it.
It's not even based on that.
Yeah, let's go. No, it's the same logic. It's the same logic. Like, let's go.
It's just my feeling. It is just my feeling.
I appreciate that. To the question that came in earlier, I didn't actually answer about Rasmus's expectations. I feel like there are some. I'm not saying you, Joshua Jack. I feel there are some Man United fans who are desperate for Rasmus to not do well, and I find it weird because he's got that number 9. Because he's gone and got Martial's number. Like the Martial fanboys that are still lingering at Man United are sort of a little bit kind of annoyed about it. I don't really know why, but they are, and they're wanting to fail. For me, I expect 20 to 25 goals in all competitions next year. I expect a player putting in better performances on average per game than we saw last year, holding up. I mean, what he did for the first goal, I want to see far more. Get the ball down. I messaged Staffy and I was like, see, this is it. I mean, it's funny actually, since Staffy said he doesn't make his own goals, I think his last 5 goals for Man United, 4 of them have all been self-made. So I want to see a lot more of that from him. I'm still going to give him time. I'm still going to give him time to develop because not everybody is 21 and an absolute superstar. But I believe there's a player in there. My biggest concern about him actually is that he keeps getting these little niggling injuries, and I'm worried that he might become an injury-prone player. And
That's true.
That's more of a concern for me than anything else, because when you start getting those injuries, you will never fully develop because you're just not getting enough game time. We are taking. Sorry, it says also, will Tom and Leon do the double tonight? I hope so, my friend. I hope they both win.
Is Leon fighting? My brother.
Yeah, he's fighting tonight. It's weird. It just feels weird because they're in Manchester fighting, but they've done it at Las Vegas hours, so it's still at stupid o'clock in the morning. We are talking the same way for Gomez. Okay, go on, mate. You take this one. No, I was gonna, but again. What I would say, Josh, and you're a long-time viewer in Super Chats, I've got so much love and respect for you, bro. I wasn't. So me sitting here and saying, you actually think about how many United youngsters you actually see me rate. Very few. I've got a very high standard in terms of which ones. Cobb, in the last, say, 10 years, Rashford, Greenwood, Mainu. I like Collier. I like Amas. I'm not even saying they're good enough for the first team, but you've got to test them in the first team to see whether they are. I can't think of another player that I've looked at and gone, yes, this is the first team player. It's very few. All I'm saying about Collier and Amas is they need a chance in real football because you just can't tell until it's a real competitive game. I thought Gomez was good, but not top class level. I never rated Chong once. I didn't see a single thing in a single match for Man United where I went, there's a player in there. Never thought it was good enough. Other people did, but I can't be held accountable for what millions of other people have said.
And that was a follow-up to the whole saying Collier is better than McTominay when he's not, because McTominay is a pro. People were saying Gomez was better than Mata and Chong was better than Mkhitaryan, so they should get game time, which is not true. Collier being better than McTominay, even if that is true, let's say it's true, it's not hard. It's not like the golfing quality is so high to say that is wild, in my opinion. We just want to see change at Man United, and McTominay is one of those changes that need to happen. We don't even know if Collier will be better or not, but we want a chance to see if he is or not.
Because we know what McTominay is.
Yeah.
This is the weirdest comment of the night. Talk about Rashford. Terry, why are you waffling? Why can't you just say the numbers? I said the number. The first thing I said was the numbers I expect from the player. See, this is how you know cognitive dissonance has kicked in. Because not only did your brain stop working when you heard something you didn't like, it gave you amnesia. Because I literally said I want 20 to 25 goals in all competitions. And then I broke down elements of his performance that I want more. Better hold-up play, bringing his players into the game more. More goals like we saw tonight where he's turning and running at players, using that P&P. But I put numbers at the beginning, my friend. Try to listen, brother. Look, boys, I want to thank you both for coming on tonight. I want to thank everybody that has tuned in. Oh, Joshua
Oh,
Jackson back
yeah.
says, sorry, says, I know you do, but collectively we hype up too many youth players. But I don't. So we're talking. So I totally get your point, and loads of people do. But I don't know. Again, I don't even believe they believe it. No, the people that were watching Chong that rated him, it never made any sense to me. What we sometimes get is people that see a youngster and they use it as a stick to beat a player over the head with they don't like. They don't actually rate them. Nobody was watching Chong. Nobody was really watching Gomez and actually thought he was better than Mata or better than Bruno Fernandes. No one really believed that. No one. I truly believe that if Collier is developed right, he could be better than Scott McTominay. I truly believe it. What I'm not saying is Collier could be as good as any midfielder in the world. Collier, do you know what? Developing 6 months, he'll be performing like Bruno. That for me, I don't even believe it. But I hear you. Terry, what's Ten Hag's style of play? Just wondering. What do you mean by that? I need you to define that question, and I'll think about it for another day. Because does it have a name? Because that's normally what people want. Is it for it to have a quirky name? What would I categorize what we're trying to do? We are trying to play a better possession-based style of football with a better rigid shape, where the midfield is full. But what we're doing is we're moving the ball quickly to get it forward. So last year we were taking far too many touches on the ball, 3, 4, 5 before we made a pass. There's a lot more 1-touch and 2-touch passing that I'm starting to see. Plus, we're running a lot of drills in training at the moment where we're trying to utilize the wider players for cutbacks. So I don't know what you would categorize and call that style of play, but that's what we're trying to do. So I don't know what do you want to give that? Do we want to give it a name? I don't know.
Egg ball.
Egg ball.
Yeah.
Answer the question. Again, it's hard to answer because I need to know what answer you're looking for. Not directly what my answer is, but do you need it to have a name, or do you want me to break down how we're trying to play? Because sometimes people ask that question, you break down how we're doing it, go, no, but what's it called? Sometimes you give it a name and they say, well, break that down for me. Like, what do you want me to say? And I'll answer it for you, because it's a very loose and vague question in the modern day world of football. My Columbus crew smacked Villa tonight.
Yeah, that is true.
Beat.
Yeah,
but City also lost as well. City also lost.
The team that they've built out though, Terry.
I know it's crazy. But I said earlier,
there's a Rasmus part they were saying about as well, Joshua Jack in the second half. On Rasmus, I like the kid. He wants it. It means something.
I get that.
Yeah. Just thank you, Joshua Jack, for that super chat.
Terry's waffling. It's not waffling, bro. You know what I've just done is answer the question in a way where you're like, damn, he's got us. Because what some people are trying to do, not so much the super chat, is try and catch you out. To go, you got bad ball knowledge. Because how many styles of football actually have a name?
Not like most of them don't. It's only like all you've got is tiki taka and gegenpress. That is it. Everything else is everything else is defensive, offensive,
or Sean Dyche ball.
Yeah. I'm telling you, egghead ball. Egghead ball. That's what we're calling it. Egghead ball, because he's got egghead, the manager. So boom, there you go.
Tiki-talk style of football. I like it, honestly, fast. Yeah, so I wouldn't necessarily call. Yeah, again, if you want to give it a name, it's going to be an adaptation of what people have already. Again, football was a simple game, and that is why I think the tacticos overcomplicate. I've heard tacticos speak, and they make it sound like fucking neuroscience.
Yeah,
crazy. We will not. All we have to change from last year is to move the ball quicker and to fill the midfield more, especially out of possession. And we need to get back into shape faster when we lose the ball. If we do those things, we will dramatically improve. But you could then argue that the style of football hasn't actually changed. We've just sped a few elements up. We get back into shape quicker and we pass the ball quicker. So the style of football isn't necessarily, but how you do that is by changing coaching, better feedback, and sort of the football decision makers ensuring that standards are being met day in, day out in training, in terms of
Yeah.
performances. So the style of football isn't going to change dramatically. It's just going to be the speed and certain components.
You know, it's
Simple as
funny,
that.
Terry. They used to say that Ollie had no style of play, no style of football. And they'd be like, all it does is counterattacks. But ain't that a style of football?
Yeah. And do you know what's really funny? Ollie got attacked for like freestyle football. And I know he isn't the best manager in the world. All I'm now hearing from a lot of these sort of aficionados is, I just hate the rigid systems. I wish we had more managers that played freestyle football. It's amazing how things go in and out of people wanting it. But there we go. Look, I want to thank everybody that has tuned into the show. I really do appreciate it. Hit the like and the share button before you leave. We're back tomorrow with more content. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.